Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill. Welcome. Glad to have you back.
And we got our...
start off with our sport business moment, Jason.
Let's do it.
So, there's been a lot of talk about how youth sports is kind of declining and AAU's taking over and school sports are down. And, if you don't might be in a travel team, you're probably not playing youth sports. And so it's been a real problem. And so for the first time, in my memory, there's a large group of entities getting together to try and stop or slow down this decline in youth sports participation. And it's Major League Baseball, the NBA, the Olympic Committee, Nike, NBC, the PGA Tour, PGA of America, the New York Roadrunners, which is the New York Marathon, Target, Dick's Sporting Goods, the American College of Sports Medicine, the National Fitness Foundation, and the Global Obesity Prevention Center, Johns Hopkins. So a bunch of really, really connected people. If they really all get together and get on the same page, I think they could figure something out.
I was like, that is an impressive group of people.
I'm sorry?
That's an impressive group right there.
It's an impressive group, but they really do need to do something because it is slowing down, and this whole AAU, this whole specialization, kids just aren't playing like they used to play. I mean, they don't play every sport. They play, Florida, you play baseball 12 months a year. I'm sure you can play basketball 12 months a year in a lot of places. And so you're not getting a lot of participation in sports. You play soccer 12 months a year. If you're a tennis nut, you play tennis 12 months a year. So you're really getting to the point where those things are very expensive because you have coaches and you're traveling and all these things going on. So it really limits a lot of opportunities. And if the AAU is really dominating, then a kid that just wants to go out for his high school basketball team, if he's an average player, doesn't have a shot.
No.
So we got to make sure these things happen. So I'm kudos, big shout out to this organization for doing this. I think it's a great idea.
I think it's a fantastic idea. It's good to hear. Very good to hear.
And then I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to LeVar Ball for using the people that put on the Keeping Up with the Kardashians to create Ball in the Family.
Which is a great name.
We'll have that to look forward to.
Yeah, and the bar is pretty low when you watch the Kardashian show is what it takes to make, action and fake drama. So he's going to be great. He's already a master at it.
Look how much money they make on that thing.
It's insane. I thought their 15 minutes would have been up like 4 or 5 hours ago, but
yeah, I know. It's like a bad cold. It just hangs on.
It does. Everyone else goes away, but they never go. But the Ball family, I mean, LeVar's already proven he can start drama out of anything.
Yeah.
And he can say outrageous things, and he can, try to hawk terrible shoes for ridiculous amounts of money. He's already following their model as is, so it should probably be fairly successful.
And he's got some expertise here, so see what goes on.
And I feel like, oddly, he went from being somebody people really didn't like to somebody that is oddly rooted for now.
Mm-hmm.
I found him kind of obnoxious in the beginning, but I like that he's trying to become wealthy and not rich. Like, he wants to, why should he have to go through somebody else to do the shoes if it's his?
He's not hiding anything.
No, he's not. And like I said, I oddly really like him now, despite his idiotic, I could beat Jordan with one hand and all that other stuff he comes out with.
I mean, yeah, some of the stuff is just out of control. I mean, I could beat Jordan. I mean, I love that Saturday night, that weekend update bit with was it Keenan Thompson?
The lovable Keenan Thompson.
Hey, I was crying. I was laughing so hard I was crying when he was doing an invitation. It was pretty hilarious.
Without a doubt. I guess now we can go on to some actual NBA news. The trade is finalized now. And we had, two
What are your
huge...
thoughts on it?
I'm a bit torn. Like, I think Brooklyn, when Jeremy Lin was healthy, was pretty decent last year. They have no reason to tank. They added D'Angelo Russell and a couple of other players. I don't think they're going to finish it. They'll still be a lottery team, but I don't think they're going to be, have the worst record. So that wasn't that big of a give up. I understand what the Celtics did. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is almost 30. He's tiny. He's coming off a hip surgery that has taken some people's careers just gone. and you got younger and better at that position. I mean, you got one of the most unbelievable scorers in the NBA. And that's a guy that had, obviously you're playing with LeBron, you get a ton of advantages playing with LeBron, the greatest player on the planet. But he also had 4 coaches, and really only one coach, and that coach was LeBron, who was going to do what was best for LeBron. And now he's going to a situation where you have arguably one of the best coaches in the NBA, in Stevens. And I'll be interested to see how Kyrie responds to Brad Stevens and what the Celtics are able to do with him.
I think it'd be really interesting. I mean, Brad Stevens has done a lot with that team. I just don't know how good that team's going to be. There's only 4 guys coming back.
I know.
From that team last year, and that was, it seems like a lot of turnover, a lot of change. Don't you think?
That's an insane amount. I mean, you had the best record in the East. You went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and granted, you got smoked by the Cavs, but then you only bring. And one of the things that your team seemed to have was just great chemistry. And guys that knew the system and loved to play in the system, and now you're bringing back 4 of those guys and a ton of new talent and a ton of new players. So we'll have to see. I mean, it's hard to argue on paper they didn't get better. But I don't know. Like I said, it's honestly one of the most bizarre trades because, I mean, you have the 2 best teams in the East fighting for each other, trading back and forth 2 of their better players.
Yeah. And is this all just a prelude to LeBron saying goodbye and ending up in purple and gold next year?
Well, I think if he doesn't,
I really believe it's going to happen.
Everybody seems to think that's going to happen. And you saw Dwayne Wade has listed the Lakers as...
He goes to Miami, wins a couple of championships, comes back to Cleveland, wins one from hometown, and then goes to L.A. and brings the Lakers back to glory. That's perfect. That's the perfect story.
Yeah, I think the only thing better would have been if he went to the Knicks and brought them glory, but I don't know if that's possible. So.
Yeah, I don't know if that's possible either.
And you saw Dwayne Wade, he's going to be choosing between the Cavs, the Heat, and the third team he's looking at is the Lakers. So maybe he's getting there a year early to hang out with LeBron next year.
He's getting a little long in the tooth, though.
He is, and it depends on like if he can come in and if he can be a 6th man or a 7th man, if he's willing to do that. I think he's still probably got something in him. He'd be valuable in the playoffs at least.
Yeah.
I mean, he averaged almost 20 a game last year.
I've always loved Dwayne Wade's game, so I hope he does. I hope he ends up somewhere good and we can make it where he can be a contributor.
I'd love to see it.
All right, then I got to talk about Greg Rosenthal, who I don't know, but obviously writes for the NFL and NFL Mobile and Bleacher Report. But he ranked all the NFL teams according to their watchability on television. All right, so I get a little blurb on my phone that says NFL's most Steelers among NFL's most watchable teams. I go, all right, that makes sense to me. I figure it's got to be the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Packers, and the Patriots, just because it is, right?
I would think so. I think you could maybe argue the Raiders. I mean, there's a couple other teams you could throw in there.
The Raiders, if I was ranking them, that would have been my top 4, and the Raiders would have been my 5. But I wasn't, and I don't write for the NFL. And so when I went to the website, I was absolutely shocked. I got 4 of the 5 right. I didn't get the number 1 team right. And according to Mr. Rosenthal, who, if you want to follow him, it's at Greg Rosenthal on Twitter. So at Gregg Rosenthal, Rosenthal. According to Greg, and I don't know Greg, and I've never read anything he's written before until today, the the LA Chargers, the LA Chargers are his most watchable team.
Yeah, I find that absolutely shocking.
I find it incredible. I would be hard pressed. I would have ranked them between 20 and 30, being generous. 20 to 25. Yeah.
I mean, even in their own division, I think you got like Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt, and maybe Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs. You still have Von Miller on the Broncos, and then you have the Raiders. I mean, you could argue they're the least watchable team in the AFC West.
I agree. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking, but, and I know there's not going to be a lot of people watching them in L.A. because they're playing in a 30,000-seat venue now, and they weren't selling that during exhibition season. So 30,000 seats, not many seats. So I guess you better hurry and step up if you want to see the NFL's most watchable team in person.
Apparently. And I think Phillip Rivers is, he's fun to watch in garbage time when he's putting up a lot of points, but I just don't know who you're watching on that team.
Yeah, wake me up when he ever gets a team in the playoffs.
Which might be a while. But speaking of playoffs in the NFL,
Yes.
We did not do our actual Super Bowl predictions. So,
No, we didn't.
I figure we should do our championship predictions and then who we think is going to be in the Super Bowl, and then obviously the easy one, who's going to win it.
Yeah, we did pick our division winners.
We did.
Our division winners, right? Yeah. Because we ranked our teams every week when we did that.
We did. We just didn't take it all the way to its finale.
We did not pick our Super Bowl teams.
I'm going to be completely, obviously biased. I do think it's going to come down to the same two teams in the AFC as it did last year, New England and Pittsburgh. And I think just being a Pittsburgher and a Steelers fan, I can't bring myself not to pick the Steelers. I do think there is some, there's some reason to be excited that they could actually do it this year, though.
They've made some moves this week that indicate that they're all in.
They're definitely all in.
Maybe this is going to be Roethlisberger's last year, and they're going to ride into the Super Bowl just like they did with Jerome Bettis.
Right.
I agree with you. I'm going to go with the Steelers over the Patriots in the AFC.
Because I think, you had a few positions of weakness. I think the defense continues to get better, especially with TJ Watt and now, James Harrison getting to be like a substitute closer, if you will, linebacker. And on offense, Martavis Bryant coming back is just an enormous deal.
Yeah.
And I like the guys they have behind Bell a little better than the guys they've had in the past. I love D'Angelo Williams, but I think that the two rookies, Connor and Watson, look a little bit more exciting as somebody that could come in and spell Bell from time to time.
And I've liked the two defensive backs they picked up this week, too.
And, I know he's defeated him every year so far, but each time Tom Brady does something at this point in his career, he's basically the oldest person to ever do it. So At some point, Father Time has to come and take its toll.
I hope.
Gronkowski rarely makes a full season. Edelman's already out, so I'm hoping the Cards will finally go fall in the Steelers' way.
So who are you picking in the NFC?
In the NFC, I really like, Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks again. I think they've become a boring pick to be good because they've been good for so long right now. But I think, like the Steelers, they've made some moves recently. Like the trade for Sheldon Richardson from the Jets, moving on from Javon Curse. I feel like they're sort of all in this year as well. And I like them the best.
All right. I think it's going to come down to the Seahawks and the Falcons. And I am going to pick the Falcons. I just think that they're going to be so motivated to get back and win that's who I'm going to take.
So you don't think...
I don't know if that's a logical pick for me because I also think they could just fold up the tent. But I'm going to go with Steelers, Falcons, Steelers over the Falcons. Ben retires. That's my story.
If they win, he's definitely done, without a doubt.
Yeah.
My worry with the Falcons is they're coming off the worst loss in NFL Super Bowl history.
Yeah.
You lost your offensive coordinator, who, despite some of those plays down the end, was a fantastic play caller for them. And Julio Jones is already... he's always banged up, it seems like. But it's hard to imagine him getting through a full season again. And I feel like Matt Ryan will come back to earth, back to where he's normally supposed to be, and not where he's ended up the last couple of years, or last year, which was an amazing season for any quarterback, especially him.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. I'm excited. I'm really excited for this week, though.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
Finish the fantasy draft. Ready to watch football. Just very excited for it all.
Have you done your fantasy draft?
We did our fantasy draft.
All right, so who's on your team?
I spent a lot of money on Le'Veon Bell.
Okay.
I have Marcus Mariota at quarterback. I have Michael Thomas, Martavis Bryant, and James Crowder from the Redskins as my starting receivers. Along with Le'Veon Bell, I have the ancient one, Frank Gore, Wendell Smallwood of the Eagles, James White of the Patriots. So my running backs could use a little bit of work, most likely.
Yeah, probably.
And I've got New England's defense, which, defense you pick up and drop from time to time anyway.
So who's the quarterback besides Mariota?
No one right now. I'm just rolling with Mariota for the first week, and then I'll pick up a backup when I need one. I'm pretty high on Mariota as a fantasy quarterback and as a real quarterback right now. So
yeah, I am too.
He put up a lot of points last year. I feel like he's solid. I paid $7 for him, so it was pretty exciting. And I'm forgetting my tight end right now, but I feel pretty well set at tight end as well. It's not Kelsey or Gronkowski, but I still feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting a huge year. I mean, again, I don't want to be Steeler homer, but I think Martavis Bryant's going to have a monster year.
Yeah, we've always said we're Steeler homers. We're not apologizing for anything.
No, there's no need. I don't want to hide it, so it's fine. But I promise I won't give the audience stories about how I lost fantasy by half a point because somebody didn't get a yard at some point. I'll do an occasional update if people are interested, but I won't tell you lame stories about how I lost just barely, which people love to do. I figure we actually have a new segment today, and this is a non-sports segment.
Hey, let's call it Things We're Excited About.
Things we're excited about. And this is just going to be something random that we each get excited about each week. For me this week, it's 2 different TV shows. And surprisingly, they're 2 network sitcoms that I'd never seen up until recently. The first is The Good Place with Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. It's a really smart show. It's very funny. It's only 13 episodes. It's on both Hulu and Netflix right now, so you can watch it if you have either one of those apps. And it is definitely worth the watch. I don't want to give too much away because there's some twists and turns, but it's really witty dialogue, very funny performances. Ted Danson is obviously a national treasure. He's always good in everything he's been in. Can't go wrong with Ted Danson. And the second show, which I believe has been canceled sadly, but is also on Hulu and on Netflix too, the first 2 seasons, is The Carmichael Show. With Carmichael, L. Ray Howard from The Get Out, and David Alan Grier, who's, again, just fantastic. And it's a show where they look at an issue, like a very serious issue every week, but they present it from all sides. There's never really a winner or a loser. And they're very sarcastic, funny people. It might be mean for some people to watch parts of the show, like that don't really like mean humor. Because there is a little bit of that. There's definitely some heart to the show, but it's definitely got a very dark, sort of mean edge. But it's very, very funny, really well written. And it's just a great comedy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about, I think I'm on episode 5 now of Mr. Mercedes, the Stephen King adaptation that is on Audience on DirecTV. So I would assume it's available through a subscription service to an online streaming service. I don't know that, but I watch it on DirecTV, and it's on Audience, and it's really, really amazingly well done. And you can't say that about a lot of Stephen King adaptations because sometimes they're just not good. Case in point, Dark Tower. Even though you put Matthew McConaughey in it, it still sucked. So.
And Idris Elba, I know.
Quick. But I'm really totally geeked about Stephen King's It, the remake of It. It was a TV series, a mini-series years ago, and I thought it was pretty good. But now with technology and everything else, what they're going to be able to do, I'm really excited about it. So we've already bought tickets, and we're going to go Friday night to a Cine Bistro, and I'm going to have dinner and watch It. And I'm really excited to see how well they have done It this time around.
Yeah, there's been like a big Stephen King resurgence. I mean, obviously, The Dark Tower, not great. But Mr. Mercedes...
He's got a book coming out with his son, Owen, one of those jointly written things coming out right before Halloween, I think the end of September or early October.
Yeah, he's been having a big... Like I said, I think besides Mr. Mercedes, he's got another TV show based on one of his properties out now, too, which is just... Like I said,
yeah, I mean, a lot of times some of the stuff is... Like The Shining works because the whole thing takes place in your mind. It's in imagination and things you visualize because they're not really monsters. And like Shawshank and Stand By Me, a lot of those things that were really, really well done. Dead Zone. It's just when he has to bring a monster to life, that's tough to bring to life. So we'll see how he does with it.
Yeah, because I know in the TV miniseries, obviously, when it manifests itself at the end, not to give money more away. I know it's an old miniseries, but it's not great.
Yeah, it was the greatest 5 episodes till the 6th episode.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we'll have to see how they portray it this time. We'll see what it really is this time.
Well, I know that there are clowns around the country that are claiming that Stephen King's It is costing them jobs right now. Just the trailer alone.
I don't doubt that. I think away from wanting to see clowns. I agree. I can see that absolutely happening. And I can also see, on the flip side, a huge influx of people dressing up like clowns for Halloween.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Yeah. So I see that one happening.
Yeah.
Any takeaways from this week's college football?
Well, I mean, I guess, Alabama lost 2 starting linebackers, but they looked dominant once again. After the early scare, Ohio State obviously took care of Indiana. And, it seems like the best teams that are ranked really high are going to be the best teams at the end of the season, the way things are going.
Yeah. I mean, I was UCLA, how they won that game because they lucked out 2 touchdowns. But, I already saw one of the Texas Regents tweeting out, #5Summerlin, one of the regents of the college. So I don't think things are going to go too well for A&M this year. Michigan looked pretty good taking care of Florida.
Yeah.
Probably should give a shout out to Cam Newton's little brother for leading Howard to the biggest upset in football history. A 45-point underdog beats UNLV at UNLV. Howard beats UNLV with Cam Newton's little brother.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked when I saw that one. It was pretty interesting. I mean, it's been an interesting week. Big week coming up. Ohio State hosting Oklahoma, and that's a big game this early in the season. A really big game.
Yeah, college football's done. I mean, Florida State, Alabama was a huge game to start the season.
Yeah, and then there's this one.
Yeah, it's nice to see the big games. You're not having to wait till November or December before you see a good college football game or the matchups you really want to see.
Selfishly, I was happy to see my Cowboys beat Tulsa handily. They've got an unbelievable offense. So we'll see how that goes throughout the season.
Yeah, they just have to see the one game that they're not supposed to lose that they lose every year.
Yeah, which the unexpected game, which the Iowa State or Central Michigan is going to creep up and rear its ugly head for them.
Yeah, and whether it's on a controversial call or not.
So.
Yeah. I was like, they just had bad luck every year with some, or not bad, I mean, maybe it's just, Central Michigan was obviously bad luck.
Something just happens.
Yeah.
T. Boone was at the opener, and he was tweeting out, and he was on social media, so I was excited to see T. Boone. Best team money can buy with T. Boone's money.
Well, that's the way you win in college football, so.
Yeah, it's a big week, though. But great week, though. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year with really everybody's in action in college football this week. And then we get the NFL kicking off with a doubleheader on Thursday night. I'm going to be in Phoenix so I can actually stay up and watch the second game.
I know, I'm excited now living in a slightly, we started an hour earlier here, not quite West Coast time, but
yeah,
it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, and your Saints are playing the Vikings, I believe.
I believe they are.
That night, right?
I'm 99% sure that is happening, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure, and Adrian Peterson's going home. So that's the story within the story. Should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I got to say, like I said, New Orleans fans are legit football fans.
Yeah, they are legit football fans.
I don't see other teams' jerseys. It's like going to Pittsburgh or Green Bay. Like, there are just Saints jerseys everywhere. And there's a lot of pride in that team. And it's, it's really fun to look at.
Be black and gold, Jack.
And they're black and gold. And they're in the NFC, so I don't have to dislike them until they play at the end. So.
All right. Anything we want to tip people off on for next week? Maybe the NBA will be out of the news next week for the first time.
It's possible. Although there's already rumblings about the Brooklyn pick in Cleveland and what they're going to do with it. So it'll be interesting.
We'll see.
And the Celtics apparently have a lot of assets, and they're not done dealing either. So,
all right, it's September. Can the NBA be relevant still in September? Let's see how it goes. Because the season starts next month.
It's crazy as it sounds.
Starts for the NBA in the middle of October.
I know. So continue to tell your friends about us if you can. Please give us ratings and likes on Facebook, or not on Facebook, on iTunes. It really does help. And if you feel like contributing on Patreon, we would love it, and we really appreciate it.
That's right. You know what I'm going to do, Jason? For every new Patreon subscriber we get, I'm going to donate $5 to the Harvey Fund.
That's fantastic.
All right, so So let's track it this week, see how many new subscribers we get, and that'll be our way of trying to do something to help people in Houston.
That sounds fantastic.
All right, this is Bill Sutton
And Jason Sutton.
signing off. We'll talk to you next